All right, welcome back to the LTB Sports Podcast, man. This is our 1v1 edition. Got a new guy in today, my man, Will Bryan. How's it going, Will?
What's going on, champ?
Not much, man. We're just hanging out, talking a little college football today, man. College football playoff, how it works, what's going into it, does it need to expand, all that good stuff, man. We'll just chop it up and have a good time and go from there.
Right.
All right. So again, everybody, as always, remember to like and subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. We'll keep pushing these things out for you, having some good time and having some fun with these things. So first thing, as far as the college football is concerned, man, for me, I think college football playoff has been needed for a long time. For me, it's a little personal, obviously, because I think we got cheated out of a national title, at least an opportunity way back when in 98, when the old BCS system was in place. I think we needed it forever. And now that they have it, I still think they need some tweaks. They need to expand. But I do like the fact that there's more opportunity for teams to win. What do you think?
I thought the same thing too. I'm not I'm not an older guy, I should say.
Right.
But I could go back to, when Auburn got cheated out of I can remember back that far.
Absolutely.
When they got cheated out of I thought they should have been a national title and they didn't make it. So I think that it should have been there for a long time, very, very long time.
Yeah. It's just something that, they had people voting on it. Then it went to people in computers. Then it was all computers. It's just been a nightmare forever. And I'm a type of person where analytical nerd football doesn't do any good for me. So especially when you're going to try to do that and choose a national championship, that just doesn't fly. Got to have things settled on the field.
I hate analytics. I'm all about the eye test. I'm an eye test guy all the way.
Absolutely. I've been that way. I make fun of everybody who always talks analytical stuff. I'm just like, man, I know what I see. And I've been seeing it for a long time. That will tell me what I need to know. You don't have to tell me to go for it on fourth down in my own end. I don't want to hear that.
Right.
So
that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the college football playoff, the right now it's at 4. It's going to 12. Do you think 12 is too many? Do you think 8 is the right number? Do you think it should go to 16? Tell me your thoughts on it.
I like Division how 1AA do it. I'm not sure how many they have. I think 16.
Yep.
Or maybe I like 16. It gives more teams opportunities, and it has to be played on the field, and whoever you think is the big dog probably not going to win out.
Right. I like it because it gives more teams an opportunity to win. It's more like the NCAA tournament to where, look, you got to play your best every night, because the one night that you don't, you get beat. And I know a lot of people don't like that, because a lot of people say, well, I want the best team to win. Nobody cares about March Madness when the best team that's been the best team all year long, they don't win. Nobody cares. All they care about is the champion.
The Memphis, the Gonzagas, and all these
UNLV,
other teams
absolutely.
That fold when those lights get bright.
Yes, and nobody cares. They just say, "Hey, you didn't win." And football will fall in line with that, man, because people will put up a fight at initially, and then as it goes, further and further, nobody's going to care. They're just going to care. You know what? We got a great tournament, and we get a champion every year, and that's all that anybody ever wants.
Plus, you get more football.
You get more football.
I think the concept's already there, man. It's just the FBS they care about the money. I don't think they really. I don't think they really want to do the playoff system, but you keep getting the complaining and all this other stuff. But in my opinion, I think it's going to bring more money in.
Oh, absolutely. It'll definitely bring more money in. No question. The one thing about it is the one complaint that everybody always talks about is, well, they're playing so many games and they're missing class time. And I'm like, you don't care about the FCS level. They play more games. And
Division two play more games.
Division two plays more games, and nobody says a thing about that. The one thing that people do complain about is they say, well, the regular season will lose its meaning. And I think the exact opposite, because if you don't win enough in the regular season, you don't get in.
Absolutely.
So I don't see how people even bring that argument to the table, because it's just like in March Madness. Teams lose too many games in the regular season. Guess what? They don't qualify.
Right.
So that's just my thoughts on it. As far as the expansion and getting into a college playoff, I just think, the more, the better. Now, you don't want it to be too many. You don't want 24 teams or anything like that. But a good 12 to 16, I think that works.
I think 16 is just perfect. You can get some good games in, and then the teams that don't make it, you can do like your bowl. You can do the bowl games then.
Absolutely, the bowls won't go away. I mean, and people, they disqualify bowls. They act like, well, it's a meaningless bowl now that there's playoffs. I'm like, the only people that say that it's meaningless bowls have, number one, have never played in one, or number two, that has never had a kid that has played in one. I go, bowls mean something, man. I mean, I went to two, and we had a great time at both, and it didn't involve the national championship in either one of them. So that's my thought. The bowls aren't going anywhere, man.
When I used to frequent around the University of Texas, I've been to their bowl with them, to the bowl, to Alamo Bowls and all these other bowl games, and like, it's an experience. It no matter what the bowl is. I'm in Tampa. I see these kids come for the Outback Bowl, the Gasparilla Bowl, or whatever it's called now, and they enjoy it.
Absolutely. It's an experience. They get treated like kings for a week. Who doesn't want that as a college kid?
Get a ring if they win.
Yeah.
All this other stuff, man. So
absolutely.
I like it.
Gotcha. So flipping the script a little bit as far as college football this year, the 4 teams, we got Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and then the last one, Ohio State. Did they get it right this year?
Yeah, I think they got it right. Everybody complaining about Bama, but Bama, when the lights got bright, they lost.
They lost
2 games. Even though I think you put Bama in there, or if we had 8 teams, Bama would beat. I would think Bama would beat TCU and Ohio State and Michigan.
See,
I think they would.
That's my pushback is. We talk about Alabama and that they would beat these teams. However, they played a team that kind of plays like Ohio State and Tennessee and couldn't win. They couldn't stop Tennessee. Tennessee scored 52 points on Alabama.
It's a down year for Alabama. It is a down year for Alabama, but I don't put nothing past Nick Saban. I think he will figure it out going into the playoffs. And that speed is that speed always shows in these college football games.
And it does.
Playoffs.
It does. But you got to get there. Don't lose.
You definitely got to get there. But the SEC is tough, man. It's tough.
Well, I'm going to push back on that too. Is it tough? Was it that tough this year?
I think it was this year, man. I'm not an SEC guy. I'm a Big 12 guy. I'm a Texas fan, and so I think it's still it's different caliber of athletes down there. They still speed, big 6'10", 6. You always see it when you see SEC play like a different team.
But you see Georgia, you see Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
You used to see LSU. Tennessee don't have that. I mean, Tennessee had a good team this year, But
Yeah.
LSU got smacked around by Texas A&M. I mean, LSU wasn't a good football team.
They got smacked around by the other SEC teams.
Right. Also, Florida State beat them too.
It's just like, how about Oregon? Like when you see Oregon play or Georgia, and they beat they behind, then you see Oregon go over there and do what they do. Yeah, they is, but you just see how much better an SEC team is compared to them.
Yeah, but that was the top SEC team against Oregon, who was a fraud. Oregon doesn't get beat like that by LSU. I know that, or Mississippi State or Ole Miss. That doesn't happen to Oregon. That's different when you're talking about the top SEC team, which basically the top team in the country versus Ole Miss or LSU
but then
or Florida.
But then you go into the SEC season and you see that, Georgia struggles to beat some of these teams.
I mean, Georgia struggled to beat Missouri. They were uninterested against the Kentucky. They weren't interested. The games that they were interested, they didn't struggle. And you can't tell me that Missouri and Kentucky are good football teams. They're not.
I mean,
they're not.
Kentucky, they was supposed to be decent this year.
Supposed to be.
So they should have woke up for that, right?
No.
They was ranked, right? When they played, there was a ranked team.
Well, no, they played Kentucky at the end of the year. Kentucky had lost 5 games by then. Kentucky wasn't good. LSU.
I might be thinking about Alabama.
Yeah, maybe Alabama. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Probably thinking about.
That's the thing. SEC gets the pub, and most years, SEC is head and shoulders better than everybody else. They weren't better than everybody else this year.
But do you think everybody is catching up to the SEC?
Yeah, absolutely. Transfer, NIL, transfer portal. I mean, they absolutely are catching up to the SEC. And, I mean, it cannot do that because guys are going to say, you know what? I didn't play as much as I wanted to play at Alabama. So I'm going to go to Oregon or I'm going to go to TCU or wherever.
You see how many transfers Alabama got coming out of there in that portal
that are leaving. So I mean, it's teams are going to catch up. I mean, in 5 years, I just think college football is going to look a lot different than what it looks like right now. It's going to look a lot different. There's going to be some different teams that are capable of winning national championships, where before teams weren't capable. They didn't have, you know what I'm saying? They just didn't have the type of players, type of athletes. With this transfer portal, there's going to be teams that you don't think, not just you, I mean, just people in general don't think had an opportunity. They're going to have an opportunity to win. Especially
teams that got the money behind them.
Oh man, the NIL changes everything. I mean, it does. The thing for me, I follow Louisville. I grew up in Louisville my entire life. I'm a diehard Louisville fan. Louisville don't have great football, but Louisville's got a lot of money. Right. And NIL, they can get some kids to go there that wouldn't necessarily go there. I mean,
but see, my thing with Louisville is the conference they play in.
The ACC.
The AAC. They're in the ACC.
Yeah, they're in the ACC with Clemson.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of teams in the ACC that can compete. They'll be better. It's just college football is going to look a lot different here in the next 5 years, for sure.
I think so, but I think the cream of the crop still going to rise.
Well, sure. Absolutely.
I still think we're going to be talking about Alabama's, the Georgias, Ohio States, Michigans.
They'll still be there. There'll just be other teams that are able to compete.
USC.
With them.
I think it'll be a team it'll be a surprise team every year.
Yeah, it's like 5 years ago, college football looked a lot different. Teams couldn't compete. I mean, before Kirby Smart got to Georgia wasn't competing for national titles like that. Things changed. Or look at Tennessee this year. Tennessee has been terrible for 15 years? And all of a sudden, they're pretty good. They get a transfer, a quarterback, things change, man. It's just college football is just different now. It's just different.
Yeah, and I like it.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
don't like going. I don't like going into the year just Alabama gonna win, Georgia gonna win. Like I
Well,
went into the year saying Georgia is the best team, but after I seen it, I still think they gonna win national championship, but they're just not clear cut best team.
they're not the clear cut. That was literally what I was going to come to next. Is that there's not really you know that Georgia has the most talent, but it's kind of what you mentioned before. Georgia can be beat. There's teams that can play with them. Now, do I think Georgia's going to win? Probably. But that doesn't mean they're going to go and blow the doors off of Ohio State by 3 touchdowns. I don't think that happens. You think so?
Yeah, I'm on that train. I think it's gonna be a blowout. I just seen what Michigan did to them, man. It's like, whew.
But they don't. That's not the same. Michigan ran football. They run the football, and they line up. And I don't think Ohio State was ready for that kind of power type of running game. And the sophistication of the blocking schemes, Georgia doesn't do that.
The pass opened that up though, because they kept putting 8 in the box and they kept leaving playing that cover 3.
They did,
and Buddy was just having his way with it. You can't do that with Georgia.
You can't. I think you're going to see a different Ohio State team, though. I think you're going to see a totally different Ohio State team. I'm not saying Ohio State's going to win. I just don't think they're going to go get blown out. Now, I could be wrong. But I think Ohio State's going to be ready to play football.
I hope so. I don't want to see a blowout, but
no. And it's just like the TCU Michigan game. Everybody thinks that TCU doesn't belong, and I'm like, look, TCU had a better resume than everybody. Literally everybody.
They did, but but go ahead.
No, and they lost one game at the end of the year at a neutral site to the number 10 team in the country, a team that they had already beaten previously. I go, they're a good football team.
But like I said, I'm a Big 12 guy, but I watch them. But I can see their weaknesses and where they can be beat at.
For sure.
If you jam them corners, if you jam them receivers, and you get that pressure on that quarterback, he's gonna fold. That's what Texas did. They pulled it out, but it was a nice game plan.
It is. It's a nice game plan. Obviously, if you make somebody do something that they don't want to do, it makes life more difficult. Having said that, TCU can also do the same thing. TCU is a physical football team, kind of gritty, They've
always been that. They've always been that. Yeah, it don't matter who the coach was. It don't matter who the coach is. Gary Patterson, the new coach, just whoever, man. It's always been lunch pail type of guys.
Yeah, they have. And that's part of TCU's, MO, I should say. They're pretty good, but tough-minded. Well, to kind of wrap all this up, tell me, do you think that the playoff as a whole, do you think that it's right? You think they got it right? Tell me a little bit about it.
I think they got it right this year, because I didn't want to see the Alabama. I really wanted to see USC, but again, they playing out there in the Pac-12, so one loss can knock you out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for the most part they got it right this year. The one thing that I will say, as far as the playoff, it actually could have been one of those years where the BCS actually worked out better, because Michigan and Georgia separated themselves from everybody.
Absolutely.
And this would have been one of those years, you know what I'm saying? This would have been one of those years where, hey, you know what? We got 2 teams. We don't necessarily need the playoff. I go, now, don't get me wrong. I like the playoff, but just to throw a monkey wrench in there, yeah, this is one of those years to where we could have said, hey, we got the 2 best teams. Let them play for it.
Yeah, y'all other 2 playing the Sugar Bowl or whatever.
There you go. That's right. So, but I like the way that the playoff is set up. I like the 4 teams. We got to expand as soon as possible. I know it's supposed to come in a couple of years. I'd like to see them just change. I don't know why they can't. I'm sure it's money and logistics why they can't just do it next year. But I'd like to see them get to 8 and even further as soon as possible.
Got sponsors and all that other stuff that's all probably already committed for the next couple years, and the contracts too. Because they probably signed the contract up to a certain point of time.
I thank everybody for dropping in, man. Had a good time discussing this college playoff. We will be back again. Remember, always like and follow, subscribe to LTB Sports Podcast. Thank you.